a lot of times if there is ADHD, that means there's trauma. So that means there's unsafety. They don't feel safe. It could be emotionally, physically. Not that you have to handle it. It's how can you be curious about it? A lot of times we don't realize we've created home in chaos.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery, issues, and topics. And I've got a question for you real quick. Do you know what it's like to be a stranger in your own body? Well, tonight we are turning down the volume on the world so we can hear what's happening on the inside of our own skin. Tonight, joining us, Natalie Bedard, lovingly known as Nat Nat. She is an emotional healing and nervous system guide and the founder of Lift Oneself. She's also a survivor who knows what true resilience is like, and that is actually about how much you can lay down and still feel safe instead of carrying everything all at once. She is here to teach us about raw healing and the art of returning home to ourselves. But before we begin, here's something to ponder on. In a world that awards us for being high functioning and hyper aware, what is the actual cost to our souls? And how do we finally learn to feel our emotions without feeling like we're going to fall apart? And Natalie, I gotta ask, Nat, how are you doing tonight? And can you resonate with that last question that we got?
Of course. And, thank you for such a beautiful introduction. And thank you for letting us see what being human is. I love your personality and what you're bringing out into the world. So I am very honored to be here with you and your guests. And of course, I resonate with that. We're pressured so much all the time of the not good enough, that we're too late, we're
Yeah.
behind, uh, things are gonna end right now. So that activating us constantly, no wonder it becomes difficult to even take a breath for ourselves or to really
Mm,
understand what we're actually feeling. When we're
yeah.
being bombarded with so many different messages and conditionings of wanting to activate certain feelings for us, where we're like so confused. And then when we're told we don't know how to take care of ourselves or how to analyze or interpret things, so then there becomes so much gaslighting or doubting that we do with it in ourselves
Mm,
because we've been conditioned and told the message that we don't know what to do. So I
mm,
really appreciate hearing that, and that it opens up a dialogue, that people can have a better place of like, can we just talk openly about this, like in a practical way, not in a way that's like all about medicine and
mm.
analyzing, like, how can I get through this in the day to day of functioning and everything else, and in what it feels like, which I call sometimes a meat suit, with all these chemicals and thoughts and emotions and experiences. Like, how do I feel safe in this enclosure when
Mm-hmm.
everything starts to erupt and feels like a tsunami at times?
Yeah. Oof. The tsunami of emotions. I mean, that's the worst part about recovery. I was in addiction for so long because I was running from my emotions that whenever I got into recovery, no one told me, hey, you're going to feel emotions again, by the way. They were just like, hey, sobriety's cool and it's healthy. And I was like, I guess that's what I got to do. No one warned me about the emotions. Why doesn't anyone warn me about the emotions? And it's so overwhelming at first because, kind of like you said, a tsunami washes everything away, and without proper warning, without having the tools and resources, you're just kind of left there going like, well, everything's kind of just gone and I'm back to where I started, kind of, almost,
Mhm.
but not really. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, you come back to a place that you gathered even more baggage than when you began.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about addiction and running away is you're delaying the pain. But what
Hmm.
happens with the delaying of the pain, it gathers so much that it becomes a bigger pain that you require to process and integrate. And
Hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, the feeling and the emotion part, you know, when we reframe addiction in a way of understanding, you're trying to protect yourself from feeling pain. And that
Hmm.
pain can be these big emotions. That pain can be having to integrate these experiences that you went through and seeing them through your eyes, not the disassociated part, not the
Mm,
trying to understand the other person, really being there with what you felt in that exact moment so that you can process and discharge these traumas, these separations from self that have been placed inside.
mhm,
So, unfortunately, I think there's some places that are needed for addiction and recovery so
mhm.
that you're aware
Yeah.
of, like, these tsunamis too that come up. It's chemicals that are coming up also because you have now told your body, I'm no longer going to input these chemicals that I told you no longer to create. So now when your
Mm,
body's like, well, where is the dopamine? Where is
mhm.
this adrenaline? Where are these other, chemicals that you were taking before? That shit
Huh.
hurts. It
Yeah.
physically hurts and it
Yeah.
psychologically hurts. And so your
Mhm.
body is going to prompt you to want to go back and take the substances because it doesn't want you to feel pain. So
Yeah.
it's like, "Well, I don't understand. Like, you're telling me my body wants to protect me from pain, but then it's gonna bring me to pain, and it's gonna bring me," and it's like, this isn't a very
Mhm.
clear-cut thing, and that's why you have to really understand your biology to come back into your intuition, come back into your own discernment, and really understand the conflict that goes on. Like, sobriety
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're gonna understand everything. Sobriety
No.
means that you're gonna really understand that there's conflict and that
Mhm.
you'll have to make a choice, and there's always, like, these 2 paths or 3 or 4 paths, and it's like, which one do I want to walk on, and
Mhm.
where do I wanna try to elevate myself a little more by not
Mhm.
splintering, but being whole with a W?
Mm. Man. Oh, you just okay, there's a whole lot that I want to unpack there, and I love it because I'm just like, this is mind boggling because you also just made me think of something that I haven't thought of before, and I want to hit you with it real quick. Have you helped people resolve repressed happiness?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Because you said like like a big emotion can be something that you're dealing with, and for some reason, my intuition, my gut feeling was like, "Hey, we got a lot of like unresolved excitement to deal with." Like because as a child with ADHD and stuff, and you're just annoying everyone, you get excited and you want to make friends and you want to make your parents happy, and you can't do that if you're annoying everyone. So you learn how to like just whoop, and it's like, all right, I'm going to be quiet, and that sucks, but enough of that. Can we hear a little bit about your backstory and what kind of got you to where you are today? Because I mean, you sound like you've walked the walk. You've got the experience and everything, and one of the best ways to learn is from the people that have walked the path before us. So, what kind of path did yours look like?
Well, I'll go just a little bit back.
Okay.
11 years ago, I had lesions in my brain, and I was
Ugh.
told I was going to die. I only had about
Mm,
3 or 6 months, and I was hospitalized for almost 40 days. And they did lumbar punctures, they did biopsies, they put radiation in me, and still couldn't
mm,
find a diagnosis. So, without a diagnosis, that means no plan, and I was
mhm,
discharged. So I had to find out my way in the wilderness, and I'm a solo parent, and at the
mhm.
time the twins were 4 years old and my eldest was 18. And
Wow.
so thankfully a year after that I discovered meditation. And meditation
Ooh.
allowed me to really engage with the nervous system
Mhm.
and engage with trauma. And trauma, how I define trauma is the space. There's a separation of self, and it's putting a
Mm.
space there. So you wanna remove the space so you can be connected into self, because that space is trying to protect you from feeling those emotions, from being able to process, and being in the direct experience.
Huh.
So I discovered meditation, and in that, it allowed me to somatically release a lot of the trauma. the
Mm.
uncharged emotions that I had stored in my body. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
ever read the book The Body Keeps Score by,
I'm reading it now. Vessel
are you?
Ben der Kolk. I'm
Yes,
reading it now, yeah.
yes. Okay. So, your body is in charge and it's storing everything. That's what your nervous system is there for. It's like a
Mhm.
computer system, sensory in, sensory let's interpret. So,
Yeah.
with that, by meditating and being able to regulate my nervous system more, my functions with my body came back online. And so the
Mm.
neurosurgeon, the neurologist, the endocrinologist, they're like, "I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working." So,
Wow.
thankfully for that. The trauma that I speak about is there were sick well, that with the lesions was the traumatic thing of trusting my body because my body these lesions don't know how they appeared, don't know how they started reversing themselves. So, in
Mhm.
that, when you have a disease and an autoimmune that's attacking, it's like, "Well, why is my body attacking itself?" So then
Yeah.
that becomes a difficulty of trusting your body.
Mm.
So that's a trauma in
Mhm.
itself. Previous to that, in my childhood, I had sexual trauma. I
Mm.
also had, my one of my parents had alcoholism, so wasn't there
Mm.
emotionally and going through their own journeys.
Mhm.
So, really those traumas and then every kinda decade, there's a different type of trauma where I've had friends
Mm.
that have been murdered or just died suddenly or,
Mm.
um, different eh, different types of experiences that
Mhm.
just give me a lot of lived experience and really
Yeah.
understand this nervous system. And from when I've been young, I thought everybody had a listening skill. I thought
Mhm.
everybody had this safe space where people felt comfortable revealing their truths or being honest about something. So, like,
Yeah.
from when I've been young, if I could like, the amount of times that I heard, "I've never told anybody, but I feel comfortable telling you this. I'd be rich if I got a penny for each time." And I couldn't
Uh-huh.
understand that as a young child. I just thought, "Well, everybody knows this or everybody understands the way the body or the nervous system is, not
Mhm.
knowing like, no, not everybody understands this at all.
Mhm.
So, my journey took me out into a wilderness so that I could really get lived experience so that I would have a very simple language for people and
Mm.
not be so academic so that it's more digestible and
Uh-huh.
that people could relate with it and wanna take a little bit of action, a little bit of action, a little bit of action, not
Yeah.
feeling like, "Oh, I'm such a failure." And unfortunately, when you do this kind of work,
Mhm.
when you see that you aren't doing certain steps or doing certain recoveries or creating new habits, you can get
Mhm.
hard on yourself, and that's
Yeah.
just your negative bias that's trying to protect you, and that's where you have to recognize, "Oh, there's an emotion that I'm not feeling." It can as you mentioned, starting this off, embarrassment is a big one that people don't know how to feel. And so
Mhm.
they shut that off real quickly rather than allow it to be felt and processed. So,
Mhm.
that journey of my life and the lesions and then discovery meditation has brought me here where I'm able to hold that space for others so that they can better understand their nervous system and start taking responsibility for their life and their truth and being curious with their biology. Like you said, with the excitement and for young kids when they're very hyperactive and going on. A lot of times if there is ADHD, that means there's trauma, so that means there's unsafety. They don't feel safe. It could be emotionally, physically, or,
Mhm.
they were harmed. So that hyperactivity is like you're always trying to figure things out, yet also it's that you have a high curiosity. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how to deal with curiosity. And so they
Mm.
just want you to just stay quiet, just be seen and not heard. And it's like, no, you don't want that for children. You want them to be curious. You want them to have critical thinking. But,
Yeah.
a lot of times it gets beaten out of them because they're yelled at or scorned or told they're this or that, and they don't know how to manage all of the energy of being so curious.
Mm, yeah, I think you just really nailed it because I'm one of those students that like in school I loved questions like for the teacher to the point to where they were like, okay, I'm teaching high school, not college. Stop. It's like fuck. But I'm really sorry to hear that you had lesions on the brain, and I'm just glad that they were able to heal themselves. And I think that's another amazing thing about the human body, though, right? Is that even though it can have something like an autoimmune disease where it just starts attacking itself from the inside out, literally, but it can also do the opposite. It can go and heal things that you didn't know were wrong either. And I feel
Mm,
like that's what a lot of trauma is, kind of like what you were saying, because there's that separation of self. We have that division where somewhere along the lines back in the past, we decided to leave a portion of ourselves behind. And that trauma just like adds another layer and layer and layer, and as we're healing we're kind of going back, but like you said, with more baggage, and that baggage can just be overwhelming too. So like you said, you teach people how to be, just do action steps, right? Like, I first thought of recovery whenever I first wanted to get into sobriety. It was daunting because it was, I have to do this forever. How do I do that? And everyone in AA or recovery will say it's one day at a time. And I thought that was just gibberish. I didn't think anything of it. But the more I'm here, I'm realizing the value of literal moments, of literal seconds sometimes. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's why I always say when people are like day to day, I'm like day to day, sometimes it's minute by minute. Like you're
Yeah.
going through things and it's like, I don't know how I'm going to continue on, like it was just a year anniversary of my friend dying of pancreatic cancer. And I was with her for 18 months through her cancer journey and going to
Mm,
treatments and helping. And, she was only given 3 months, yet she lived for
mm-hmm.
18 months. And a lot of that
Whoa.
was because of me being by her side and helping hold space to regulate that nervous system and
Mm-hmm.
do some certain things energetically. Yet, as much as I know, that death is, I have a different relationship with death, and I understand that
Same.
energy doesn't die. And
Yep.
so, yet, when a nervous system is no longer there, your nervous system's looking to communicate with that other nervous system. So
Mm-hmm.
it has a little bit of a issue processing and having to
Mm-hmm.
deal with this new reality. And I think,
Yeah.
we don't even know how to articulate grief properly. We don't know how to hold enough space for it to let
Mm-mm.
your body process all of the things that come up and recognize that grief isn't a one-time thing that, "Oh,
No.
I'm all done with it." It's like it's a visitor that comes and visits
Yep.
and if you always just get abrupt with this knocking at the door, then you're gonna have a really difficult time with life. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if you can hold space and be like, "Oh, you're here again," because you're here to
Mm-hmm.
give me some information. You're here to allow me to be a little bit more softer. You're here to allow me to see a little more deeper, to,
Mm-hmm.
perceive in different things. So, unfortunately, with, a lot of things, I don't think the human side is given to people. That
Yeah.
it's okay to be human.
Yeah.
It's okay to
It's
make mistakes. It's okay
mm-hmm.
not to know, like, when you don't know what you're doing, that means you're in change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because if you can predict it all, then you're doing the same thing that you always know. But if
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what you're doing, and it's very
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable not knowing what you're doing, that means you're going through growth and change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it
Y-
it's a very uncomfortable space to be in.
Yeah, that is for sure. I know whenever I first got into recovery, one of the things that was told to me was you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I thought that was the stupidest shit ever. And
Yeah.
they were so right. But that's the thing too, is that it's kind of like whenever I think of excitement and fear, because they're an emotion that almost lives in the same spot inside of my body, but the underlying aspect of it is different because the fear is more of probably I'm afraid of failure, while the excitement is more of I'm afraid of success because I don't know what's beyond the door. The failure aspect says, hey, if I fall, I know like what's behind me. I know what I'm going to fall on. So that's almost not even a fear. It's kind of like I'm reliant on the fear of failure. And then the fear of success is just so broad that, because like you said, if we're in a state of change, if we are in confusion, then we don't know where we're at. And that's the awesome part, because it means I'm in someplace new. I can do something different. And
Yeah.
that's just hard to get into my body though sometimes, because like you said, if I don't feel safe enough to even cry by myself, I'm not safe enough to feel any other weird emotions that may come up. And grief, I think one of the things that I've come to learn is that I've been grieving a part of me that I didn't know that I lost a long time ago. And also at the same time, I'm coming back to that part of me. It's like a weird form of time travel, and I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not that you have to handle it, it's
Hmm.
how can you be curious about it? How
Ooh.
can you let
Yeah.
curiosity be there? Because
Hmm.
in that grieving and reconnecting, there's a sensitive part that you're reconnecting with that you don't know how to connect into because you've
Hmm.
protected it for so long.
Yeah. Oof. Hmm. Okay. So how? So whenever we're starting to do this.
Let me ask you this, Keegan. Where do
Okay.
you
Okay.
feel it in your body right now?
Right here.
Okay. So hold your hand there.
What? Left or right? Does it matter?
Whatever hand, whatever, just hold it there. And just be curious with this feeling that I'm when talked about the sensitivity, when we talked about the grieving and reconnecting, it brought something up. So connect into that and bring it forth. But also let it know that you're holding it now and that it's safe to come up. It's safe to be witnessed and it's safe to have language. Just take a nice deep breath in and just tell that sensation that it's safe, that you're not leaving it. And just breathe. Be with it and just breathe. You're safe. You're safe. And just let it know it's safe.
Ugh. Yeah. All right.
So, this was a very vulnerable moment, and thank you for being transparent and allowing yourself to connect into that part. This is the
Yeah.
gift that I have that I can recognize these things and wait, let's bring it out so it can have language and you can connect into
uh,
it because a lot of times we just bypass it. It's
yeah.
too deep, it's too yucky, it's too sensitive, it's too vulnerable. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Yet, when we can allow that, that's where you're starting to trust your body more and more. And when the
Mm.
fear and the excitement come, what's missing in between of this spectrum is the breath. So you just allow the breath to meet the sensations of your body
Huh. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
and the
uh,
integration of it. How about we do this? How about we do this? Because
okay.
this is I know it's a bit of a mind fuck because you got your own process that's going
Yeah,
on
just
right now,
my.
but we wanna do a
Woof.
podcast. Yeah, it's like you just shifted the whole shit right now, Nat. So you can imagine, yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody and
Huh.
they were like, "You know what? You
Huh.
trigger the shit out of me and I love you for it, but you trigger the shit out of me, but in a good
Huh.
way because you
Yeah,
make me
yeah.
aware of what I need to draw in and integrate for
Mhm.
myself." So if
Yeah.
you're willing, would you do a mindful moment with me right now so that
Yeah.
I can show you these 2-minute breathing exercises that
Yeah.
you can introduce for yourself and what the listeners and what that can look like for people so that
Absolutely.
when these big emotions come up, we can see how we can meet it for ourselves?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love that.
Okay.
Let's give the listeners some actionable tools they can actually use.
So, Keegan, I'll ask you to get comfortable where you are. You're standing right now, so just be aware with your standing. And when it's safe to do so, I'm going to ask you to gently close your eyes or
Okay.
soften your gaze. And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. If that's not comfortable, then just breathe through your nose and out through your mouth. But if you can, breathe in and out through your nose. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out through your nose. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to be aware of its rhythm, allowing it to guide you into your body. Now, there may be some sensations or feelings coming up, and that's okay. Let them come up. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. Be with your breath. Drop deeper into your body. Now, there may be some thoughts or memories that have popped up, and that's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Beginning again, creating space between the awareness and the thoughts, and dropping deeper into your body, allowing yourself to just be. Be with the breath. Be in the moment. Again, more thoughts may have popped up. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating even more space between the awareness and the thoughts, and completely surrendering into the moment, into the breath. Just keeping that awareness on the rhythm of your breath and just letting whatever sensations or feelings just arise up and let them pass through, not getting tangled into them, just anchoring into that breath. Now take a deep breath in and let it all go. Another deep breath in, let it all go. Now, at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath.
Ooh.
Hi.
Ooh. Hi. Man. Sorry, I've just got a lot of loose floodgates, apparently. um,
And it's needed.
Ooh.
And I'm thankful that you're mentoring and you're showing others what vulnerability really looks like. So you're actually walking the path. You're not just theorizing or talking about it. You're showing what lived experience is. And by doing that, you're giving so many others permission to allow those floodgates to release for themselves, to let that melting be there so that they can
Mm,
connect even deeper within themselves.
mm, yeah. Sorry,
It's warrior work.
because yeah. Oh no, no, stop. Wait, don't say stop. That's bad language, bad self-talk. Don't let it out. If it's coming, just let it out.
It's okay. It's okay.
Whew.
It's okay. Take some deep breaths in.
Ah,
Do you have a word for it right now?
Mashi.
Okay.
No idea why, but that feels good. Okay. Uh, um. Oof. Yeah. Ooh. Hang on. Okay. All right. I'm here. No, that is really interesting because as soon as the breathing started, that mindful moment, and I was starting to drop in my body, the first thing that I realized was you were saying, "Don't think about your breathing," and I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, because that's automatically what I was doing. I was like, "God damn it!" And then you know how people will mess with other people, and they'll just be like, "You're breathing now," and they're like, "Ah, fuck," because it's the smooth muscle that we can control. We are conscious of it, and it's odd because our digestive tract is smooth muscle, so it's like we don't think about making everything happen down there. So why can we control our breathing? And I think it's because it's so ingrained with our nervous system that I was also like, okay, so I'm trying to relax, and normally meditation is, all right, work on your breathing, do breath work, and focus on it. But you were saying, no, let your breath guide you. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And I immediately got a lot of tension just released from my shoulder. And so I had to sit there and it was just dropping, and I just felt it like pop out of place. I was like, ha, 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 ah. And then and then everything started to sit. And then I started getting sent back to childhood. And then that's whenever some memories started popping up. And got to work through those apparently. But I think that that's the really really cool thing that just happened, was that some people might call this kind of counterintuitive. Like, why would you want to do an exercise that brings up something that you're crying about? Well, it's because I'm crying about it, I'm releasing it, I'm actually acknowledging it, I'm letting my body know, hey, we're here to have a little discussion about this. Like, why don't we go on a little walk and figure out what's going on? And it's so cool, but it's so strange how that works.
It is, it is. It's you know, a lot of times we go searching for things, but if we just allow the invitation, the body will release all the things that it's suppressed and that it's pushed down and everything else. And um that's why I call this warrior work, because we can have this hardened shell, and then all of a sudden when the body feels safe enough to release, it's like, I didn't tell you you could come up. Like, what are you? Like, you were in some dark corner. That's why, like, what you just experienced, that's what some people would call shadow work,
Mm-hmm.
because something from the
Yeah.
shadow came up to the light
Mm-hmm.
of your awareness. And it's like, oh, well, that can't be good because it's from the shadow. And it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
it's part of you. It's just
Yeah.
now you're willing to see it in the light of your awareness
Mm-hmm.
and put a light to it. And so
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing also is that integration and processing part. 'Cause a
Yeah.
lot of people know how to feel, but then they shove it right back down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the integration and processing part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that shoving right back down is kind of like what I'm only having to do it right now because if and it's so weird. Synchronicity is a son of a gun because there was a Facebook thread somewhere that they were talking about how one of the big things wrong with the world is that a lot of guys need to have that big ugly cry. And I was like, I was talking to someone about this the other day. I was talking to my wife about it the other day. I was talking to me myself about it the other day. And I kind of got there with another guest, but I didn't allow myself permission afterwards to really do it. And now we're here, and it's like, oh, hey, you're like a lot of walls have been broken down, and I didn't even realize it. But
I kinda
the
do that to people, so I apologize.
well, no, don't apologize for that. It's just one of those really good things because we need that kind of mirror breaker, if you will. That we need someone to help us be able to trust ourselves, to trust our bodies, to be able to take that deep dive into the shadow. Because even though I've done shadow work, a lot of it has been that intentional, I'm going to go find this problem, I'm going to find the root of it, and I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to eat it. And then it's going to become a part of me. So I'm in, I'm very intentional about what I'm doing with my shadow work. But that one was weird. So one of the things was I had a memory about my dad getting mad at me whenever I was young because I didn't like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Well, fast forward to high school years, I get a food allergy test, and I'm allergic to all the things I didn't like to eat as a child. And so the first thing my parents told me were like, "Oh, we're sorry. Like you actually were allergic to this stuff, and we just thought you were a really, really picky eater." And I was like, oh, I just didn't know how to express that kind of thing, you know. And then after that memory, it also just kind of progressed into like Boy Scouts, so teenage years, and then high school a little bit. But like the memories got happier as it went. That was kind
Mhm.
of weird. I didn't expect that.
Mhm.
But the only other thing that I noticed for myself was that my diaphragm just likes to not expand so much. My breath wasn't wanting to come to me. And I think it's because I've been just encasing myself so much through the years that my body doesn't know how to be, because whenever I do breath work, sometimes my chest will pop. Like it's the weirdest thing. Like hearing your chest pop is freaky and sometimes
Mhm.
it hurts. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I was carrying so much shame around that my body just kind of adapted to it. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Do you help people through that?
And shame is protective. It's
Mm-hmm.
protecting a very vulnerable part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we can meet the shame and ask, what are you trying to protect? What are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Because shame will try to talk to you and do all kinds of things to have
Yeah.
you push away from what's behind it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can address the shame and feel it, then you're like, okay. And the tightness that you're talking about, that just indicates there's still a lot of fear. There's
Mm-hmm.
still a lot of apprehension.
Mm-hmm.
So when the
Okay.
sensitivity wants to come up, it's like, I don't know if I could trust you.
Mm. Yeah.
Because when we're
Mm.
sensitive, we've been harmed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When we've been vulnerable, people have walked all over us. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
about that. And
Yeah.
so really being able to breathe through it and little by little acknowledging that I'm feeling the fear and
Mm-hmm.
to integrate that and and
Mm-hmm.
tr- and letting the body know that like there's trust that it's okay now that we can release this. We
Yeah.
can let go of this part that has protected us for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Being tense and tight feels like safety.
Yeah. Yeah, is that why people like tight clothes?
Yeah, and being loose and it's like, "Whoa, that like, we gotta be on edge. We gotta be on guard."
Mhm.
So, what you're it just you explaining that just lets me feel that there's still a lot of apprehension in the body. There's a lot of old residue of fear.
Mhm.
And so that sensitive part that you integrated and that you felt, the more
Mhm.
that you integrate that, the more that your body's gonna be like, "Oh, okay, so it is okay to let
Mhm.
go of this protective mechanism that we have, and we can
Mhm.
really just relax into this." So
Mhm.
the more that you integrate that part that you just felt, the more
Mhm.
your body's gonna start to open up and be like, "Okay, we'll let the guards down more,"
Hmm.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because
We
one of the
can
things
go
Go
ahead,
ahead. No, 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 no. No, you pointed
because
ahead.
we can think things, but there's a different things that when it drops into your body.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Because what you're talking about, having that little bit of apprehension and stuff still, I'm like, it's really weird because I'm talking to my body while I'm talking to you and I'm listening to you, but listening to my body is a different kind of listen. And I don't think a lot of people actually know how to do that. So the message that I'm getting from my body though is saying like, hey, we're like you said, it's still fear based, I think, but it's because I have a lot of excitement about this
Mhm,
because this is super cool.
mhm,
Like this is one of those things that like whenever you find something that works, whenever you find something that's new and it leads to unknown possibilities, it's exciting. And I'm like my jaw is like doing like this. It's like my whole body wants to shake and get it out. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird, but why is it trying to live in my diaphragm? Why is it trying to just control my breathing to the point where it's like, nope, you're just because it's like, nope, oh,
well, feel
statue.
into it. Put your hand on your diaphragm and now ask it, like, "What are we holding on to?" And try to
Hmm.
breathe in and don't
Breathe.
force it. Just try to breathe in and then ask it. And when you're holding yourself, bring a sensitivity, like you were holding a young version of you.
Hmm.
Be strong but delicate with yourself with that. That it doesn't feel like it's forced and that it's being pulled out, that it can actually come out on its own and reveal itself.
It just
Take a
kind of
deep
went away. I don't know what happened. It just kind of.
try to breathe.
Okay, no, it's still there. It just doesn't want to be seen. It doesn't want to be rejected. That's weird.
And what is it being rejected by?
Myself.
Why?
An old version of me, because it was, if I get excited, if I express emotions, then I get in trouble. You know, like I can't ask questions outside of a box.
But is that true now?
No.
Okay. Well, let your body know that and acknowledge that the fear of what that felt like before. And that feeling excited is safe.
Do you ever okay, so whenever you work with awareness, do you ever feel the awareness up in your head? Because I know
At
you've
times,
done
yeah.
at times,
Yeah, at
okay,
times,
because
yeah.
I've done it for years, and I just had it shoot up my back up into the left part over here, and I'm like trying to figure out what that was about, but we can't really always think about what our
No, don't
body's
try to
doing, right?
analyze everything.
Okay.
Just let the sensations and know that your nervous system is discharging information, because that's the back of your head is where your limbic system starts, and the bottom of where your gut is where the other part of your limbic. So you're down regulating. So something shot up to give you information. So there's some activation going on. And if you actually, right now, try humming. Now try taking a deep breath in. How does that feel? Try humming
Tingly.
again. Okay. It's a much deeper breath.
It was, wasn't it? Huh.
So what might be happening also is that you're a lot in your mind and you're actually not dropping into your body because you've been so kind of conditioned to analyze everything about yourself
Yeah. Yeah.
because that feels safe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because if I'm not aware of everything that's of like I'm eating and stuff, I'm going to feel bad, and then I have to be super aware of fuck. Damn it.
Okay.
All right.
It's awareness. It's awareness. And now you're connecting it even more. It's
Huh.
it's very safe to be neck up. It's very difficult to go down into the
Yeah.
body and trust it again.
Huh. Huh.
Because cerebral feels safe up there.
Yeah, there's nothing there besides the brain.
But when you come down into the body, you're feeling a whole world that you knew intuitively, but it's
Yeah.
to come back and trust it.
Mm-hmm.
When you've been scorned or told or experienced different things, it's like, oh, I don't know. But
Uh-huh.
when we know that we're analyzing too much, the body
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel safe. It's like, never mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then on top of that, there's that self-shame of like, ooh, other people can eat this or don't have to worry about getting stung by a bee. Why do I have to? And it
It
just
sucks.
piled on top of the it'd be best if I didn't exist pile. So,
Yeah.
damn. Holy shit. Huh. Oof. Well,
So
uh,
you went very deep. It shows me that you are doing your work. Because if it wasn't, you have a willingness, and what happens with willingness, you can go deep very quickly, especially
mm,
with my kind of work. So you're
mm.
willing to explore in places and stuff like that. So that's why things can connect really quickly, and that's why you've had these aha moments for yourself. And then
Mm.
it's like, oh, okay, just recognize patterns and habits, we fall back into it. Like, I
Yeah.
know not to be like, "Get out of your head, Natalie," but a lot of times I'll get stuck in my head and it's like, "Whoa, whoa, snap out, breathe." What
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, yeah, drop into my body, breathe in and feel and everything else. But
Mhm.
it's just always having more awareness of
Mhm.
a lot of times we don't realize we've created home in chaos,
Yeah.
and that just feels so comfortable.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
And then we know it's not right. We know we shouldn't be doing this. Yet the body's like, hey, that feels like home, and that's where I'm going to go because
Mhm.
that's where we've been all the time. Now
Yeah.
to surrender and let go of certain things, that is that warrior work. And that's what you've been doing this whole hour.
Sheesh. Well, I can say that it feels really good. Like it I I said this last time I cried on camera. I felt like a fool for crying on camera, but now I can say I feel validated for crying on camera. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
Because you're finally seen in your truth. And you
Mhm.
don't have to reject your truth. You don't have to put on a performative mask of, "Oh, what is this?" and scurry it away for the world. You're actually honoring yourself,
Yeah.
and you're standing in your truth, and nobody can take that away from you. Most of all, you don't have to run away from it anymore,
Yeah. That's a
and
big
be
one.
in that wholeness. Yeah, the W, wholeness.
Mhm. Yeah. Because whenever growing up, I just had a giant hole without the W. So, eesh. It's interesting coming back to self in such a way that is new. Because it's kind of like, oh, I every time it happens, there's different layers to it, and this one felt way different. I don't know. This is weird, but weird is such a good thing too. It's because it's rewriting destiny per se. Like if I'm feeling weird, it means that something changed. I don't know what, but hopefully it's for the better.
It is. You like I said, you integrated and you connected into places and you dropped into your body.
Hmm.
As soon as you did the humming, like, when you're noticing a lot of tension or maybe you're overstimulated or maybe there's a lot of excitement too, try
Hmm.
the humming to help down regulate some of that energy so that
Okay.
you can be a little bit more focused and you can have that clarity of where I need to go. Yet
Okay.
that humming will help you to down regulate and tell your body it's safe.
Okay.
'Cause I don't know if
So,
you noticed, like, when you relook at this replay, you'll see the second time you did humming, how deeper your breath went.
huh. Yeah, like I could only notice that it was a deeper one because you said something and I could do that quick eval. But I know that in my own head, whenever I sit there and take like a quarter of a second pause, in my head it feels like it's 2 seconds. So that second breath, I'm actually kind of looking forward to see how deep it was.
Yeah.
But this has been just absolutely phenomenal. And I can't thank you enough. So I gotta ask you real quick because we're close to the end of this episode. Do you think that we could have you on again? Because
Of
I know
course.
that, yeah, I've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, sweet.
It's been a
Thank you very
pleasure.
much.
It's
Yeah,
been a pleasure.
it's been absolutely amazing. But we do have some time left to try to play our little game show if you want to try it.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's also really weird because I wrote these prompts in advance. So again, synchronicity is a weird thing. Oh, I do gotta ask real quick for everyone out there that is looking for you, where can they find you if they're looking for any kind of help with
lift
integrating themselves?
liftoneself.com. So that's liftoneself.com. That's my website. They can find to do a discovery call with me. I have my emotional sobriety workshop. I also have my podcast that's called Lift Oneself, and
Okay,
you can find me on all the socials under Lift Oneself.
awesome.
Thank you.
So, of course. No, thank you. Because holy cow, it's one of those things that this kind of work is almost literally invaluable. Like you can't put a price tag on because you can't put a price tag on trauma. I mean, if you did, it'd probably be like the price of low shelf alcohol or something like that, I guess.
Yeah,
But um,
exactly.
But these are the kind of things that are going to help heal the world, and we started by working on ourselves. And it sucks, but it sucks in the actual moment of healing, but it's only whenever you're unused to it and you're not comfortable with it. And I mean, like 6 months ago, had this kind of stuff happened, it would have been a different episode. It would have been a different reaction to me and everything. So yeah, like everyone out there, if you're trying to work on yourself, give it a little bit of time. It will work. You just got to stick with it and maybe get curious and try something new.
Mhm.
But we do have a little bit of a game for everyone out there. Well, not for everyone. It's for y'all to learn, but it's for Nat to help us figure out the anatomy of an emotion. So
Okay.
now, since Nat is an expert in not bypassing pain, but helping the body remember, we're going to play a game of somatic association. So I'm going to give a abstract, difficult, or complex prompt, and she just needs to give us the location of the emotion, so where it lives, the texture or the element of this emotion, and the salve. And for those that don't know what that is, it's what are we going to do to help make it feel better, right? Nat, if you want, you can either describe for yourself personally where this emotion is, or you can just say a general feeling so that people may have an idea of where to start if they're trying for themselves. So, are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Awesome. Up first, we have the imposter syndrome. The moment that you walk into a room and you feel like everyone knows that you don't belong.
Mm. See, for myself, I feel it in my shoulders and I feel a hunching, like my back is up against the wall and like a cat is about to pounce. So I feel the tension. So, you know, it's a layer of a mechanism that just covers over the body that is trying to protect you from feeling other feelings that are coming up. So in
Mm,
actuality, it feels like an imposter of like, I don't belong here, but it's because you're feeling unsafe to actually be there in the light of who you are.
hmm. Okay. And so, what would the salve for that be though? Would that be just be GTFO?
What is GDFO? Please explain.
GTFO, get the fuck out.
No, we don't want to get the fuck out. Unless it's too overwhelming,
Yeah.
then, you have to do what is best for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it's way too much, yet exposure allows us to integrate. So
Ooh.
allowing curiosity to be there of why don't I belong? Why is this? Because every emotion that comes up is information, it's data.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean it's truth. Doesn't mean it's
Mm.
correct
Mm-hmm.
information, it's just information that's coming up. So it's
Mm.
like being curious of why is this information coming up and where am I
Mm.
feeling that sensation? And so if like I would have it in my shoulders and my tension, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put my hand on my chest to try cuz I am like holding myself in my shoulders in a
Mm-hmm.
place it might look away, or I might just cross my arms to be able
Mm.
to hold myself so that
Okay.
the body and I can integrate of what are you trying to communicate to me? And
Mm.
sometimes it might be the excitement of being somewhere, but not knowing how to articulate. So the imposter
Oh.
syndrome's coming in and like, no, 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 you've faltered or you flustered, and it's like, but I can be here and I can, and it's like it depends on the conversation, but really finding a way to bring touch into the body so that it can give you the information of why this protective mechanism has appeared.
Okay. I
And
love that.
breathing.
And
Yeah.
breathing. Got it. Okay. So, what about phantom grief? Experiencing an old episode of grief that you thought was once resolved.
Boy, that sometimes comes, from the pit of your stomach that just comes up, or an ache in your heart, that comes up. I think, to think that things are resolved is the same way that the mind wants to think that you'll arrive somewhere. A lot of people think with healing and recovery and sobriety, I'm gonna arrive somewhere and it's all gonna be taken care of, and there's no such thing.
Mm.
And so to think that you've resolved something
Mhm.
is to be in denial of really what growth is,
Mm.
because there's spirals and layers of things, and
Mhm.
the body keeps score of everything. So if
Yeah.
there's a grief there, yes, you've integrated it, yet 10 years from now, somebody else could die or something else feels similar to the same grief. And
Mhm.
like I said, that visitor that comes knocking at the door, are you gonna be able to open it, or are you gonna slam the door and freak out and be like, "You were never supposed to be here," and it's like, but it's a part of you, and
Yeah.
it's trying to give you information.
Mm.
So, the
Ooh.
salve for that again is touch, it's being able to breathe and slowing down and pausing and actually acknowledging the grief,
Mm. Okay. I love
meeting
that.
it face on.
Yeah. Meeting it where it's at. And you made me think of like grief or a lot of different this mental health journey for healing and stuff. Like you said, we like to think of it as a destination. We get there and everything's nice and dandy, but no, really it's we're moving across country, and once we get there, hey, we got to get a job, we got to get a new apartment, we got to do this, we got to do that. There's still stuff to do. It's just we just kind of change up the scenery. So,
Yeah.
hmm. All right. I love that. Now, what about this one? the the holding of breath, hypervigilance when you are awaiting bad news.
Boy, that gets right in your throat of that and your chest being so tight.
Mm-hmm.
And your stomach can be in knots also. So it could
Mm-hmm.
be all 3 of those happening all at once that you don't realize the whole constriction. Because some
Mm-hmm.
people might feel like a whole just constriction of the whole body, but if
Yeah.
you can have a lot of body awareness of like, "Oh, my throat and my chest and my stomach are all activated in that." Um, and that takes being able I call, I'm right, I wrote a book, it's in the
Mm-hmm.
editing process, it's called The
Oh.
Gift Wrapped in Sandpaper, and I
Oh.
named the nervous system as your inner stallion. And
Hmm.
so that inner stallion, if you don't know how to ride it, it's going to trample over you or drag you or do all kinds of things. And the
Mm-hmm.
one thing about a stallion is you don't want to tame it. You want a wild stallion because that's where the
Hmm.
power is, but you want to be
Yeah.
able to guide it. And so when you understand, that's why it's so important to be your own mad scientist, to understand your own fears, your own biology, what your
Huh.
triggers are, what would create that hypervigilance,
Mm-hmm.
and really be able to name it, like,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to name the fear. That's one thing that is lacking in the world. Everywhere it's like, "Oh, don't have fear. Fear is garbage. Be fearless." And it's like, but you have a human body and a nervous system that's interpreting things constantly. So
Mm-hmm.
being able to acknowledge the fear, then you can use that energy. But if you
Oh.
don't, then it's gonna hijack your behavior to try to
Mm-hmm.
find safety somewhere. But you
Hmm.
wanna be able to be conscious of it of, "Okay, I acknowledge that you're feeling the fear so that we can find safety together
Hmm.
and not
Huh.
apart."
Okay. Ooh, I love that. It kind of reminds me of mind over matter almost. Like we don't have to let our bodies control us in a sense. But it's almost like awareness over mind, rather.
Yeah, and it's integrating the 2, not one over
Mm,
the other.
yeah.
It's being
Okay.
able to use the 2.
Mm. Ooh, yeah, because one's more of a force and one's more of a direction, I guess. Okay. What about nostalgia for a place that doesn't exist? That spiritual longing for home, per se.
Oh, that plays in the head and, can play in the heart also.
Mm,
That's nostalgia is possibly at times where we want to feel joy and we also wanna feel sadness, but we don't know how to allow ourselves to emote. just naturally.
Mm.
So we have to
Yeah.
invoke it with something.
Ooh. Huh.
So nostalgia helps with that.
Hmm. I never thought about it that way.
But then we can get stuck there
Yeah.
and not
I've been
live.
there.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. So, how would you solve that one? Because I mean, that
Be
one's
honest about it. What is
okay.
it that you're missing? If you're missing something, then take moments to miss.
Oh,
There's nothing
okay.
wrong with longing for something or missing somebody or missing what you lost or that has changed
Hmm.
or, what has been. Just recognize that isn't what reality is now. That's not the as is of reality. So what is it that you actually need to feel and process?
Hmm. Huh.
But don't deny
Ooh.
yourself things.
Yeah. Okay.
Just be honest about it. Be
Hmm.
conscious about taking an action with something, making the choice and the decisions of things.
Okay. Ooh. And I think that that's one of the things that I'm going to have to ask you about next time is about making decisions because tarot has let me know that I have a hard time in making decisions, and I already knew that, but I know that there's a lot of trauma behind all that. So maybe we can figure
Choice
something
is
about that.
overwhelming. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Choice is very overwhelming for a lot of people. And to
Mm-hmm.
make a definite decision because it's like, oh, it's all on me. And whatever the outcome is, it's going to be put on me. And how do I know? And I want to predict the outcome. And I don't know what the outcome can be. And so you're
Mm-hmm.
looping with instead of just taking and then recognizing I'll deal with whatever comes afterwards. Or did I
Mm-hmm.
take enough time to process and look at information? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, decisions can be very overwhelming for a nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
You can get into the looping and trying to figure out because it wants to be able to predict.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't know what the prediction is, and the prediction can be really averse and cause a lot of pain or psychological or emotional suffering, then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It will go into a free state. So yeah, of
Mm-hmm.
course. I'd
Yeah.
love to get into that.
Awesome. Well, Natalie, or sorry, Nat Nat, thank you very much for playing Anatomy of an Emotion, and you have earned yourself the honorary title of the Alchemist of Softness for your ability to take the rigid, frozen structures of our trauma and gently melt them down into something flowable and real. So, thank you for that, and just for making me cry some floodgates today. So, it's just been awesome.
It's been an honor, and like I said, thank you for the warrior work. Thank you for the transparency, and most of all, thank you for your alchemy, that you've taken your impurities and you've turned them into gold, yet you haven't kept that gold for yourself. You're sharing it with others, and you've shared significant gold today with others. So I wanna thank you, Keegan, for the light that you bring into this world and what you're bringing into the platform of podcasting also. So just keep shining your light, keep growing that light, and just allow yourself, in 2026, allow yourself to receive. You don't have to
Mm.
give so much anymore. Now your work is to allow yourself to receive.
Ugh. Ugh. I'll try. But damn, that's a big ask for someone like me. Uh,
But
so
you're deserving of it.
uh, I'll have to find a way to convince my body to believe that.
It's
But I'll
little by
work on it.
little. Yeah, little by
Yeah.
little.
Uh, well, Nat, thank you for sharing that. Is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with this evening before we sign off?
I just want them to know that if you made it this far, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for the
Mm,
work that you're doing. Thank you for being curious and also just supporting Key in the way that you do. This is a wonderful podcast. It's a wonderful community. And I just want to remind you, Keegan, and the audience and myself to please remember to be kind to yourself. You matter.
mm. Nat, thank you so much for those kind words and for that amazing message. And I mean, I can't wait to see you back on in the future because I have no idea where it's going to go, and it's going to be so awesome. But we have to wait a little bit, unfortunately. But I just hope that you stay safe until then, and everyone else out there, don't forget, you've got to love yourself. Try to love others if you can, but you got to love yourself first. And if you're having problems with a mental health crisis, you can call 988. And if you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you can call the Trevor Project up in Canada. So everyone, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. And this has been Keegan, this has been Nat, and we will see y'all in the future. But until then, much love. Shalom.